Even though it's shocking, juveniles have been proven to be involved in many of the most terrible crimes. But when they were given harsh punishments, many cold-hearted children whose crimes would make even the bravest of people shudder with horror were unable to control their feelings. While some stood terrified, others entirely lost control. Here's 8 dangerous kids reacting to life sentences. Number 8. Samantha Grigg. 18-year-old Samantha Grigg was given a prison term of 6 to 15 years for manslaughter and armed robbery. She was the one behind the wheel of the car that struck and killed Dustin Frolka, a 19-year-old student at Michigan State University. 2 men, Tyrell Bredernitz and Brendan Heim, were driven to Frolka's flat by Grigg. Frolka was assaulted by the 2 men and leapt out of the car, which was moving at a speed of up to 60 miles per hour. Grigg, who was sentenced by Clinton County Trial Court Judge Randy Tavonen, could not keep her head up. Grigg admitted guilt to charges of unarmed robbery and manslaughter. At court, Grigg was sobbing and expressing regret for his part in Frolka's death. She pretended to mean no harm, but she was actually taking 2 other people to a robbery while she was driving. Although she was aware that she was transporting 2 persons to a robbery, she claimed she never intended to hurt him. Number 7. Cameron Herron. This is Cameron Herron, and he was sentenced to 24 years in prison. Jessica Raysinger Robinold and her 21-month-old daughter Lilia died on Bayshore Boulevard in April 2018 after Herron, who was 18 at the time, slammed into them while driving too fast. Herron was competing in a race against John Barrineau, who was 17. Barrineau received a 6-year state prison term after entering a guilty plea to 2 counts of vehicular murder and a misdemeanor racing charge. Cameron was shocked to hear the sentence. Number 6. Leonell Tate. He became the youngest person in modern U.S. history to receive a life sentence. On July 28, 1999, Leonell's mother, Kathleen Grossett Tate, was babysitting her friend's daughter, 6-year-old Tiffany Unick. Following dinner, Kathleen went upstairs while Tiffany and Leonell watched TV. Later, Leonell went upstairs and informed his mother that Tiffany was not breathing. He informed Kathleen that he had Tiffany in a headlock when he smashed her head on the side of a table. Tate's attorney defended him in the court by stating that the 12-year-old boy weighed an incredible 170 pounds and was only playing with the 6-year-old child. He said that Tate injured the youngster unintentionally while demonstrating some of her professional wrestling maneuvers. The strikes had lacerated her liver. She also suffered numerous more wounds such as a shattered rib, a fractured skull, and brain edema. According to the prosecution, the girl would have suffered the same injuries if she had fallen from a 3-story structure. Given that Tate was 12 at the time of the murder and his victim was 6 at the time, the penalty was controversial. He was the youngest person to get a life sentence in the United States, which led to widespread criticism of how Florida's juvenile justice system handles criminals under the age of 18. Leonell Tate was given a life sentence by Judge Joel T. Lazarus because of his actions, which the judge deemed to be not those of a playful youngster. At the sentencing, Tate was generally expressionless and mute. A state appeals court overturned his conviction in 2004 on the grounds that his mental capacity had not been assessed, and he was ultimately released after serving a year under house arrest and completing 10 years on probation. Number 5. Kyandrea Cook. After utilizing a dating app to entice the victim and a companion to South Daytona, Kyandrea Cook and her boyfriend Kendrick Bass attempted to carjack them. The man was allegedly shot by Bass. Kyandrea Cook was given a 20-year jail term for carjacking and violence by Circuit Judge Matt Foxman. Cook was given a sentence of 20 years in state prison after the judge noted that the crime had been planned out and was primarily committed by her. The 19-year-old Cook approached the judge while wearing an orange jail jumpsuit. He appeared to hesitate when the judge asked whether she wanted to speak, and after a little period of silence, she looked up at her lawyer, Stephen Robinson. He spoke to her while talking to her with his ear close to her back. She then started speaking softly. She apologized for her actions and asked for forgiveness. Now the judge is reading the sentence. Her mom cried out. Number 4. Fernando Salgado. Upon being arraigned on criminal charges in Fontana Superior Court, this 18-year-old California student sobbed uncontrollably. Fernando Salgado pled not guilty to the 2 counts stemming from distinct classroom incidents at A.B. Miller High School in a composed manner, but he lost his control when his bail was set at $300,000, and he was told he would have to stay in jail until July 9th. As he sat with his attorney and signed a plea agreement, Fernando Salgado sobbed and wiped away tears. He agreed to testify against Emmanuel De La Rosa, his 27-year-old masonry instructor, in exchange for admitting to 2 felonies. Number 3. Bever Brothers. 5 Bever family members were murdered in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma in 2015. 2-year-old Autumn and 13-year-old Crystal were the family's only survivors. One of the 2 survivors, Crystal, identified 2 of her elder brothers as the attackers, Robert Bever, 18, and Michael Bever, 16, according to Crystal. As a result of their detention, the 2 older Bever brothers were charged with 5 charges of first-degree murder and 1 count of assault and battery with intent to murder. Robert desired to become a well-known serial killer, according to his testimony. In 2017, after entering a guilty plea to the accusations brought against him, he was given a life sentence without the possibility of parole. Also terrifying in his evidence, Michael Bever was found guilty by the jury. He received 5 consecutive life terms as a punishment. After hearing his sentence read, Michael grinned briefly before wiping his tears. The brothers remained motionless for the most. Number 2. Damon Camp. 19-year-old Florida resident Damon was charged with murdering his 2 housemates. Accusing the shooting deaths of Trey Ingram and Jordan Payton, both 19 years old, in Daytona Beach, Damon Camp is charged with 2 counts of second-degree murder. According to Ingram's family, Ingram was aiding Camp by giving him free rent in his apartment. Camp was initially detained on an unrelated burglary accusation. Then, Camp was wheeled into Volusia County Court while yelling the word "God" at the top of his lungs. At the hearing, some of the victims' families who were present yelled at Camp. Damon's facial expression seems to be off. Number 1. TJ Lane. TJ Lane. He received consecutive sentences of life in prison without the possibility of release, as well as additional sentences of 37 years for the shooting deaths of 3 classmates from Chardon High School. Daniel Parmeter, Russell King, and Demetrius Howlin. As part of his justification for the punishment, Judge David L. Furry cited Lane's apparent lack of motive and remorse. Lane wore a blue button-down shirt to the court when he was sentenced. He unbuttoned the shirt and sat down, revealing a white t-shirt with the word "Killer" written across the front in black marker. When given the chance to address the court, Lane delivered a brief, uncivil statement that concluded with an offensive gesture before raising his middle finger in front of the courtroom full of the relatives of 3 students he killed. The relatives of Lane's victims referred to him as repulsive and expressed their desire to keep him caged up like an animal for the rest of his life, as he grinned and winked at them. Dina Parmertor, Daniel Parmertor's mother, spoke the harshest remarks against Lane. And see how he reacts.